Much love and peace to all watching and listening to Candid Stories of My Soul with myself, the host, Raquel Shelby. From the moment we take our first breath and every experience that builds us up and creates the individuals we are today, in life, we will experience both the good and the bad because, in order for balance to exist, both must coexist. There cannot be good without bad, nor can there be chaos without peace. The Creator is the author of all of it. Whether we believe in God, Source, or not, He is within us all. Source is within us and is present at all times, just as much as our DNA. You will get to audibly witness many journeys of individuals as they are living, breathing, and ever growing documentaries in the flesh. Many will attest to how the Creator was there, and many of these accounts will be mind blowing. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Mariah from Spiritually Honest Tarot.
Hey
Hey,
guys. Hey. It's a
hey, I'm
pleasure
so
to be here.
excited. You
Thank
know what? Let
you.
me put my headphones on so I can really,
All
really
right.
hear you good, good. I am so excited.
Yes, I am too. It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on your platform. I'm just really grateful. So thank you.
Oh, listen, thank you for being on here, okay? Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to make it clear again that I have been watching you. You have popped up in my feed.
Hmm.
And I was watching one of your videos, and at this point, I am a Leo to everybody watching. She was talking about Leo. I mean, of course, yeah, why else would I have picked on it? You know what I'm saying? Unless it was my spouse's, but little humor, not trying to be. But so I click on it and I'm listening to her, and I'm just like, wow. Like, because it's so many people on here that do things, and I'm not knocking nobody. Everybody is a different stage. They're at a different stage in their evolution. So they do things how they do things because that's where they at. And I get it. And so I'm not judging anybody. But what I am saying is Mariah is, if you are into tarot, you need to subscribe
Um,
immediately to her channel. Okay, because she breaks it down and she's so selfless with her reading. She's so giving. You can see that she's honest and earnest and she cares. And this is why her channel has shot up so quickly, because this is her lane, this is her gift, this is her contribution. This is what God has put her here to do. All leaders have an audience, and there's people that have to be in the audience, and there are people that have to deliver a message, and she is one of the deliverers. So if you're looking to receive a message, she is the one to follow. And I've scanned through a few, and like I said, people do different things, but girlfriend got it going on. So I said that to say I had to reach out and contact her and have this interview. I was like, and if she responds, which she did, she's a very genuine woman too, then we are going to be on popping, like on and popping. And that we are today. now,
yes.
now, before we get into the thick of it, honey, before we become like backyardigans, I want to say that I do have pets. Okay, I have two dogs, and I just hope they don't go up there and it become Death Row Records Part 2 while I'm trying to do this interview. But if in fact, honey, it becomes like a Michael Vick dog fight, just act like it's not going on. They're not going to kill
It's
each other.
okay.
That's just how they play. Yeah.
It's all
No
right.
blood is ever drawn or nothing like that. But if you hear a couple barks, honey, I don't want you to get nervous. It's all right. We
It's
good.
okay. Well, I
Okay,
got a
you ain't got
cat,
to
and my
go.
cat is put up in the room, but he likes to try and come out and make noise. So
Yeah.
we're on the same wavelength right now.
As long as somebody feel me with this craziness. Okay. Let's do it. So, I know I did tell people what you do, but I can't nobody introduce you like you can introduce yourself. Okay, you've been with self, however old you are. That's how many years you done been with you. So you know how to set the stage. So
Yeah.
please tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Mariah. I'm 26 years old. Um, I got into tarot last year. Now, let me give you a little background. And I know we kind of talked a little bit, but I come from a Baptist background. I grew up in the church. I was a praise dancer. Father was a deacon. You know, both of my parents, actually, before they got into the church, they both were drug addicts. So they met in an AA meeting. So that's kind of the backstory for me in my household. And I dealt with a narcissistic mother and an emotionally unavailable father. So I didn't have the support. I really didn't have the full on guidance that I needed. So it was go to church, go to church. Church is the answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never really resonated with the church. It never really felt right in my soul as far as connectivity to my higher self or understanding of me. And once I got around the age of 18, I actually started to get into Buddhism. I don't know how I stumbled into it, but I did. I stumbled into Buddhism. And then from there, I started to expand further into spirituality.
Okay.
And unfortunately, but fortunately, looking in hindsight, I went through a lot of turbulent life experiences. I was homeless at 19. I had to become a stripper. Well, I don't want to say had to, it was my choice to become a stripper to provide for myself because I didn't have any other way to provide for myself. And through that entire process of being homeless and then becoming a stripper and then trying to find my footing, just like with most people with tarot, they tend to run into tarot either due to a heartbreak or a life experience, or they need answers to questions that they don't know how to really answer. And I was one of those people when I went through a heartbreak a few years after, and I didn't really know what to do. So I went on YouTube and I was looking up zodiac signs, and the person that broke my heart was a Leo. He was a Leo. All right. He was a Leo, and I'm a Cancer, so I'm very sensitive. So when I get hurt, I feel it to the core. So I'm trying to search answers through like what's going on in the zodiac for Leo, this, that, and the third. And on the recommended side, I started seeing tarot videos. Was very curious, and from there, I kind of started falling into tarot, watching tarot obsessively, really becoming all encompassed by it. The heartbreak situation, you know, time moves on, you move past it. And I was still dancing. And one night I went to the club that I was working at, and I had a regular customer. And we were talking about tarot, getting into it, regular night. And then maybe about a week or two or so later, he comes back and he buys me my first tarot deck. And he said, "Here, take these, they'll take you far." I didn't know what he meant by it. I'm just like, all right, look, I'm in the club here to shake ass. Sorry, I don't know if I can cut some fire. But I'm in the club to just, you know, work and go home. So I'm just looking at the cards like, okay, whatever. But I started to use them and I started to practice and I really started to hone into my abilities. And throughout my life up until that point, I would always get a nudging feeling from something other than myself. So when I was in situations when I didn't know what to do, or situations where my life was at risk, or situations where I was being sexually harassed or sexually abused from people in the club and my own life circumstances, I would always get that voice, that nudge within me of telling me what to do and what not to do and how to handle situations that I didn't know, I wasn't prepared for. So I always knew there was somebody, a higher spirit with me. And I started practicing the cards, using the cards. And from there, I really grew a sense of how to connect not only with myself, but divine, the universe, and spirit through that means. And 2020, another heartbreak situation, unfortunately. And at that point, we go into 2021, and I'm still dealing with the heartbreak. I'm still feeling the pain. And a part of me goes, you know what? I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of feeling this pain. And I'm like, you know, if I can't really do much about my situation at this moment of what I'm feeling, I at least want to be able to help others. Because at that point, I really started getting into tarot, really started knowing how to use the cards. I never read for anybody publicly. So I'm just kind of, you know, shot in the wind. Let me just try it and see what happens. So that's when I decided to start my YouTube. Got my YouTube up and running. Started reading tarot. I started March of 2021. And around May of 2021, I released videos for Leos, and it's still my highest viewed video. And it kind of went viral within the tarot community. And once that happened, my life completely changed. It felt like overnight, where I was going from working in the tech industry and a job that was okay, but it wasn't fulfilling, to now doing something that I actually loved and being able to make a living off of it and being able to change my entire life circumstances off of it. But more importantly than that, being able to help people, get the
Yeah.
responses from people saying, you've saved me from this, or you prevented me from going this direction, or the different clients that I started to pick up, and they're telling me how accurate you are, or oh my God, telling me their significant life stories.
Mm-hmm.
That means the most to me, because now I feel like finally in my life, I've I found my footing after years of not having a stable ground to walk on. So I'm just
Oh,
very thankful.
well, when it's time for you to come online, it's time.
Yeah,
When it's time for you to be called, it's time. It sounds like it's a couple things. And I just want to thank you so much for being so very transparent. And
yes,
that's what really is making this amazing, aside from your outstanding gift,
yeah.
your transparency. So I want to thank you for that. I really do. It sounds like you got some synchronicity going on with Leos. And it sounds like listening to you, I really just this just popped up in my mind. I just wanted to share this. Listening to you as you're talking, it occurred to me, how other would you change the heart of man lets you strike him at a point that is important to him.
Mm,
So to communicate with the Cancer, you guys are all heart.
yeah,
So something had to trigger that heart for you to become who you are. I think in your case, this Leo that came around, and if you want to share what the heartbreak was, you can. If you don't, we don't have to. He came around at a time, he did his job and did what he needed to do, and he struck a chord with you so that you would become this, because who's to know, had you not came across this said Leo, would you be sitting here talking about these things today? So
yeah,
unfortunately, from a human standpoint, we look at these things and we be like, but why in the world would a heartbreak have to bring me here? It's plenty other ways, homie,
yeah.
you could have got me here. You ain't have to beat me down like that.
Yeah,
But it's the when things begin to dismantle, it's the things when fall apart, it's the things where you're broken and you're breaking, is when you begin to search because you need answers. So you have to dig deep to mend this individual back
yeah,
together.
yeah.
And what other way to do that than strike you where it would affect you most was your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate, I want to say this also. You have done a lot of work on yourself, and the reason why I know that is because you're able to break down you're able to tell the story, break down where the error went, and why it was the error, and you have dissected all of these things. You know how to name it, call it, and tag it as what it is. So that lets me know that you have done a lot of work, and because of your um what you've been through,
Mm-hmm.
the sacrifice has been big. And somebody else can watch and say, well, I've been through this. No, we not gonna do that, because
Yeah,
everybody's story is powerful.
yeah.
Everybody, and that's the point of this show. Everybody's story is powerful, and if you just listen and give it a chance and stay open, you will be blessed and learn something. So I just wanted to say them things. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get too off the beaten trail.
No, you're absolutely okay. And just to kind of, because you touched on the Leo thing, just to like give some back, because I'm an open book. I really am. Like, when you accept the life that was given to you and that you lived, I mean, can't nobody take the truth and use it against you. So I embrace it. Um, no, the Leo situation was kind of wild because I was homeless for about 6 months. Finally was able to save up enough money from stripping to get like a little red roof in. So I was staying at like a motel and
Okay.
ended up in a relationship. We were together for a few months at the time. And while I was in the club, there was a customer that comes in, and it was that immediate attraction, like how some people say in the community, twin flames, all that
Yeah.
stuff. It felt like that. And we connected over a span of months, and it was the best time of my life. I was still in the relationship. And I didn't want to
Ooh.
lose stability because he was very stable for me. But then this person had that intense attraction, and the sex was amazing and all that good stuff. And I'm like, oh
Okay.
Lord, I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So what ended up happening was I come to find out he was a womanizer. To be
Mm,
expected in the strip club. I mean, I get how the game goes. So he
yeah.
decided to keep dabbling and moving on. Cool. We reconnect a year later, and this is what triggered it for me. Um,
Oh.
when we reconnected a year later, we met up and we went out for drinks, and He wanted me to come over. Okay, well, we already got a history. I'm not mad at that.
Mhm.
But at that point, that's where things kind of went left because my no was his yes. So he took advantage of me. He raped me, and I still have to look at myself because I should have known better. I should have went there, but that still doesn't make it appropriate or okay if somebody's like,
Mhm.
"Hey, don't." And I was fully clothed, and he still went ahead and everything through the tears and crying. He didn't care. Still proceeded,
Mm.
and I left with no dignity. I mean, I just left. And if you really want to go there, I may be telling a little too much of my
No,
business.
you okay if you're comfortable.
I know
Now
I'm
if you
comfortable. I just
oh,
don't,
okay.
I don't know how open I could be here.
Oh, you could be very open, honey. This is what listen, you're
Okay.
gonna get to know me. Imma make sure you get to know me.
Okay.
That's how we that's what we doing. Cause at the end of the day, what can people do? Have something to say? They have no heaven or hell to put you in. And if
That's
you
true.
dug deep in the corner of their rusty, stinking ass closet, you would find some mildew, must, and shit too. So, we're not gonna do that. If you feel comfortable, please proceed. But if you don't, by all means, you don't have to.
Okay. Awesome. So I left. I didn't have any dignity. Now, mind you, even though we reconnected a year later, when we had our little few month stint where things were pretty good, I was still in a relationship. We disconnected, and I was still in that relationship with my original person.
Okay.
So when he did rape me, I was still in a relationship. And that's what I'm saying. I knew better because I had a whole
Oh.
man at home and I shouldn't have been going over there to get drinks
Oh,
and going
okay.
to his crib.
Okay. I see. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I should have done better with that. So I left with no dignity. And I wasn't health wise, physically, I wasn't feeling right. I go to the doctor, come to find out he gave me chlamydia. So he raped me, gave me chlamydia. Now I got to go back to my man and tell him about all this stuff.
Ooh,
And
so
this,
you ain't try to finesse like a 2-week break, like you ain't tried, you know.
I tried my best. I could only hold out for like a couple of days. And then at a certain point, it's like, okay, I
I
gotta
got
tell you.
you.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? I don't want to disrespect you. I already disrespected you, but I don't want to take it overboard even further from what I already have done.
Right, you're a genuine person. You got
Yeah.
yourself back right, I got you. And that's good. Yeah.
So I had to tell him, and I told him about what happened. And this was a key moment that I will never forget in my life. When I told him about the experience, what happened to me, the first thing that came out of his mouth was, "Are you okay? How are
Mm,
you feeling?" And in that moment and throughout the entire process, he wasn't necessarily, not to say he wasn't hurt by that, he was, but he was more so concerned for my own well being, which showed me, looking in hindsight, how somebody can love you unconditionally. The fact that your person did this to you and yet your heart is still on, how are you doing versus, why did you do this to me?
you're right, 'cause that popped up when you said that, yes.
Mhm. And that
Mhm, that's
showed me,
good.
even taking it forward, even into my readings or dealing with people, that yes, everybody got their shortcomings. Trust me, I still got a whole book of shortcomings that are in my different chapters. But despite what people do, despite what people go through, we're still human. I still love people unconditionally. I was shown that. I never got that from my parents. I never got that from my upbringing. But in that situation and how he handled me throughout the entire process and the rest of our relationship, he showed me that he loved me unconditionally. So I try to pay that forward.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think that and I'm just saying this now. I promise it just popped up, but, um, I think that people that are called to, um, influence
Hmm.
those, to the light or to enlightenment or however you wanna refer to it, wake people up, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I think that nobody who is that way
Hmm.
is squeaky clean, and the reason why I say that is because you have to go through if you've been through a lot and got a lot of stuff that you might not be proud of, it keeps you humble when it comes to dealing with other people. You're in a
Hmm.
better position to be humble and to be compassionate and really do the work that you need to do because you're coming with less judgment because if somebody here and I'm not saying to you. I'm not trying to
Mhm.
offend you. You
Yeah.
understand? I don't want you to think like I'm saying anything bad about you. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying, um, if I peeked in your closet, if they peeked in my closet,
Mhm.
they would judge me. So I got to check myself. Even when them thoughts come in your mind, like this mother, I got to check myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's amazing. I'm so sorry, but I just had to say that. Like it is so amazing when you start putting the pieces together of why things they just make sense. If you take a minute and just they make sense. But yeah, go ahead. Let me stop. Then go ahead.
Oh no, but that I mean, for that specific Leo situation that kicked it off for me, that's kind of how that went. And then from there, that's when I was on YouTube. What's going on with Leo zodiacs, and then fell into the tarot community and was watching hours. I mean, I spent thousands of hours watching tarot, trying to figure out
Right.
what's happening with my life or my love life, or why did this, that, and other third, and just so much into it after that.
I mean, but you got two valuable lessons out of that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? No, the one lesson was unconditional love.
Mm.
The another one, see, I don't want. It just made you learn when you got there and you said, "Maybe I shouldn't have been here." That was a learning moment. That was a
Yeah,
profound moment,
yeah,
okay? So that and then you becoming who you are today. So that was a very poignant and notice how the Leo is the one that was the problem, but it was also the most important video you've had today, and that's what I mean about the synchronicity. That's what I
yeah.
was talking about. So, I wanna ask, so what's going on with your parents at this time? While all of this is going on. Why you laugh?
Oh man, my parents are a trip. They are a trip.
Okay.
I'll tell you this. My father still not really present in my life. We speak. I keep touch with him.
Okay.
He's in remission with prostate cancer.
Mm, Jesus.
So I mean, he's doing okay, but he still has to deal with that. My mother, she's another story. It's either one day me and her we ain't speaking the same language. Another day we
Okay.
kind of okay. Next day we're not speaking the same language. The thing about it is though, with my mother, she's been getting more into spirituality on her own basis, on her own terms. But
Okay.
I think with her, because she's been through a lot of neglect, abuse, drug abuse, sexual, I mean, she's went through all A through Z in her life. Um, I try to be there as best as I can, but I also got to protect my energy and my
Right.
space because she can be the type of person that'll get you riled up real quick and be ready to cuss her out. And it's like, you know what? Bless your heart. I love you. Got to send you
Yeah.
grace, but get off my phone. I can't
Yeah.
do it.
Mhm.
I cannot do it with her. So, um, me and I have two other brothers and two other
Okay.
sisters, but they're on my father's side. But me and my brothers, it's like us three against my mother, you know.
Mm.
And with my mother, she's not really the type to hear me out or hear what we have to say. She has to be right. She knows best. So when I try to tell her about therapy, when I try to tell her about, further doing this shadow work and stuff like that, she don't want to hear it. So, all right.
Mm. Sounds like one of my parents. That's funny. Mm.
Mm,
These parents.
yeah.
These parents. You know what I think is interesting about these parents? And maybe you're going through it, maybe you can relate, maybe you can't, and
Mhm.
that's okay too. Then it'll just be my story alone, child. But it seems like you got some people that get it, but it seems like you got more people that act like they don't get it. Like,
Mm,
what you think I'm making this shit up? I don't what is this about?
yeah.
And you've got these people that want you to endure this foolishness because of who these people are to you. And see, that gets real crazy with me
Mm,
because In the bigger scheme of things, by me knowing that we're here to learn and essentially people are not going to agree. Somebody's not going to agree with this. This is fine. This is
Yeah.
not a part where you have to agree. Okay. I'm just saying, seeing that we're here essentially playing parts. Okay. Um, and when we pass away, everything that we have created on this um, reality is irrelevant.
Mhm.
I just feel like we acting and this is how I'm about to act. You're not about to worry the shit out of me. You're not going to stress me out. You're not going to constantly piss me off because I don't care who doesn't understand, who don't agree, whatever. I don't have to deal with that shit. I don't owe you as I don't have to offer myself as a sacrificial lamb to all of your foolishness. All the stuff that you want to dump and throw my way. I don't have to do that. Because what? Because you said so. Who said so? Oh, the Bible says so. We're not about to argue with this. Let me be wrong then, because that's how I feel.
See, and that's exactly that's oh, it's so crazy you just mentioned that because that's exactly what me and my brothers are doing with my mother right now. Because mind you, my mother is 60 years old. She just turned 60 in 2021.
Hmm.
And she's done here all her life, beautician. Worked out in Cleveland, where I'm originally from. Then I moved to Michigan and now Houston.
Okay.
So she did here all her life. She's 60 at this point and has nothing. No savings, no money, no nothing. She does Uber for a living to try to scrape up any pennies that she can. She took a 7-year hiatus to stop working, got on unemployment, got on disability, and was just cool with just accepting checks from the government. Didn't want to work. I understand if you're in that predicament and that's what you got to do, but she was fully able bodied. She just didn't feel like working anymore. So now she's in a tight pickle. She's getting older. Her ailments is catching up to her. And she feels like it's me and my brother's responsibility to take care of her because she had us. We her children, right? So I
Mhm.
always say, I sacrifice so much for y'all. And y'all can't even do this for me. I sacrifice my, well, hold on. I get it. I ain't asked. I ain't put my name on the docket to be here. Okay. I didn't ask that. That's not my responsibility. What she did was she's blaming us because she had to sacrifice portions of her life. And now she put herself in a hole and she has no way to get out. And when I try to talk to her about different alternatives and different things that she could do, nope, I don't want to do that. I'm not about to do that. I'm comfortable. I ain't about to work for nobody else. I worked for myself all these years. I'm not. Well, who do you expect to take care of you? Because I ain't. Listen, as spiritual as I want to be, I am. I'm connected. But one thing that Mariah will not do is enable some grown woman's behavior. I love my mother, but I'm not enabling that behavior when you had every opportunity to get your shit together. Sorry.
Ooh, a lot of those things sound so familiar. Not all, but many. Wow,
Mhm.
that's something.
Yeah. So I don't know what she's gonna do. My brothers, they try to help her in ways that they can, but they getting tired of helping her. And my mother, we took her out to LA for her birthday in September. Beautiful time. She started getting drunk. She started getting on the little alcohol. She started getting on the liquor. You can't control her. She started going off on my brother, cussing him out. They both going back and forth over each other. She leaves the little Airbnb we had. She tries to jump the gates. Mind you, she's 60. Trying to jump the gates and the fence because she like, I'm not staying here in this house with y'all. I'm going back to Cleveland. This, that, and the other third, getting all. So we brought her back in her. We had to manhandle her old self back in the house. Her and my middle brother, they going back and forth. And my middle brother, his name is Adrian. He was not intended to be here. He was here because of my mother being raped by his father. And then
Oh,
my grandmother said, cut the child's father off, don't deal with him. That's a whole graphic story within itself. So my brother
mm,
doesn't know who his father is. My mother won't tell him anything. And they was getting into a conversation. She's still drunk, getting into a conversation about that. And she goes to him, I fucking hate you. I wish I never had you.
oh my
And
God.
that tore him apart. And we all watched
Mm.
it like, what the, and that was kind of the limit right there. So even with him, my oldest brother, and myself, these are just small fractions of what we have to deal with when it comes to her and her mouth, even to this current day.
Baby, ooh, Jesus, we gotta stop drinking that truth serum, don't we? Shit. Baby, when they say it's spirits, I wanna know what spirits was in that bottle. No disrespect. You know
I
what
have
is
no
so
idea.
what is so funny though to me? Like, and Imma use my parents as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the shit that be going on is so fucking ridiculous. But if you were to film this stuff and watch it back, I'm telling you, Black people, I love us because we are so colorful as
Yeah.
people. Like it just be so much drama, and you be like, "What is this about?"
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Mm-hmm.
how we roll. I love it though. I love us. I'm telling you, I love us. It's a brilliance about us. Stay woke. Stay with me.
Yeah.
Girl, that is funny. But it's not funny. Make no mistake, when it's going on though, it's not funny. This
Yeah.
stuff do
And
not
when you
be
look back at it, it's like, oh my God.
mm. Yeah, we gotta stop drinking that truth serum, honey. Gotta.
Okay.
So when you were growing up,
Mhm.
I imagine it was interesting with the dynamics with your parents or whatever. Um, so you did explain that you okay, you actually already explained that with the Buddhism and all of that. Okay. Did what specifically triggered that again? Like I'm done with being Baptist.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go this way.
Okay. So let's get into it then.
Mhm.
So for me, I just never really resonated with the church. Cool,
Okay.
whatever. It's a trickle down effect because it kind of started with my first ever heartbreak in high school. Didn't work out. Cool. And after that, I tried to date other people, get into other people, and it didn't work. I just felt like I was being used. My mother never gave me game because she hates men. My mother literally hates men. She says,
Oh no.
so she never gave me any tools on how to really navigate dating and people and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what? At that age, and I think I was around 17 going into 18, I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? If somebody's not gonna love me for me, then you better believe I'm gonna get somebody for their money. And that's how I felt at the time because I was tired of being used. And now, mind you, I'm so young looking back, but thinking that way. So I got online to a sugar baby website. I think it was Seeking Arrangements. And I was looking for me a little old fella, little silver hair fox, trying to find somebody. And I I found me one, and he lived in Michigan. That's how I ended up moving to Kalamazoo,
Oh,
Michigan.
not just ignorant ass Michigan. Okay, go ahead.
So we connected, and it was an online thing, and he sent me money a couple times, and me and him were going to get into real estate.
Okay.
So at that point in time, I'm like really studying. I'm getting ready to get out of high school. I shouldn't have been dealing with him because I was underage at the time, talking to him,
Okay.
like 17 going on 18, not
Is
18
it
at
past
that.
the statute of limitations? This is
I think so. I think Ohio's it's either 18 or 16 for I don't know. Listen, so I was getting really deep into real estate and like studying, and when I was reading these books, they would talk about the certain mindset and the mind state that you need to have and things of that nature. And I
Mhm.
came across this one real estate book, and they brought up Buddhism and talking about that and the principles
Oh,
that are used to help cultivate and strengthen the mind. So from there, that's kind of how I started. I'm like, okay, well, let me see what this is about. Went back to YouTube, searching it up, and from there, I just completely fell into it. I
okay.
fell into it.
Okay. And
So that's
then
And
oh,
then from there, I continued following Buddhism. Um, what ended up happening though, my mother kicked me out the house. So went from going on 17 to 18, and around 18, my mother on her bullshit again. You ain't doing nothing in this house. Get the fuck out of my house. She kicked me and all my siblings out.
wow.
So, old man, silver hair fox. I had to let him know. Look, my mother's kicking me out. He said, "Yeah, I got a nice house in Michigan. Come down, come live with me." So I'm like, okay. So he came, picked me up from my mother's house in Ohio, and we drove back to his place. Girl, when I tell you, we pulled up to Timbuktu. Timbuktu. out of the, mind you, I ended up moving to Kalamazoo on my own. We ended up in Jones, Michigan first.
And that
So
must be sad.
it was like Timbuktu. It was a condemned trailer that we lived in that he pulled up to. And I'm like, what is this? What is, hold on, this ain't the house that you was talking about. This ain't the house you showed me in the pictures. I'm wondering what am I about to walk into, but my pride won't let me go back and say, no, I want to go back home. My pride won't let me do that because what my mother did to me. So I'm like, fuck, I'm stuck. I go up in this trailer. It's black mold all over the ceilings. All of the windows are busted out. There's plastic bags all over the ceilings. There's holes in the ceiling. So when it rains on you. We slept on an air mattress. He like, if you will, nigger rig heater to the little top of the ceiling above the bed so we can have heat. And I moved out there in the wintertime. So I would have to like try to fix that up so I can get heat. And it would rain too at some time. So you getting heat and you getting rained on in the air mattress. We had rodents and we had a wood burner and I got pictures of all this. I still add the pictures to this day. So I can always send them to you anytime through email. Like legit, we had a wood burner in the living room. So he would have to go chop down a tree and we would have to start a fire in the living room just to stay heated.
Oh my, could you like I just got so upset because it's like I want to press charges on this individual. Like, I listen. You were 17, so this is no way a reflection on you. You know a little bit, but you're still impressionable.
Yeah.
So this is I'm not going. What? How dare this grown ass man be so deceptive, sneaky, manipulative, and dishonest? How dare he?
Yeah.
I want to press charges. I do. That's He, you know what? He needs to come up off that trailer. Whatever he can burn that trailer down into, melt it into, whatever the value of that is. Bitch, I want her to have it.
Okay.
Bitch, if it's your last $50, I
Okay.
want her to have every bit of it, and I want you to throw a penny on top of that bitch. What in
Okay.
the world?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, honey. Ooh,
No,
that
it was
shit
so
out.
it was so crazy. And on top of that, he had a wife in the Philippines named Sally. And he still had the pictures in a little plastic bag of him and his wife Sally. He wasn't leaving her. And I wasn't leaving because now I'm in a trailer with you.
She wasn't even there.
So, and on top of that too, because when we were talking about what he does for work and his occupation, he let me know that he used to be a big real estate investor back in the 90s, and he lost his money during the crash in 08, 07. And now he's trying to get his foot back in the door in real estate. So I'm like, okay, cool. Come to find out, he's actually a lab rat. So he would go to different pharmaceutical companies and they would test like the latest drugs on him, like as a test study. That's how he was making money.
Oh, so he lost his goddamn mind. So he might be mentally ill because they was testing on him. So that's why he okay. What, baby? I,
Legit.
listen. Who is all involved in this shit? Because I'm ready to cuss everyone. What the fuck? I want somebody to line these people up so I can cuss them all out and just whoop them. What the fuck is happening?
No, legit. Like, and then when I found that out, it was like, oh my. At first, I really didn't know what it entailed. I didn't know what it meant until I was speaking with like my brother. I called my brother one day and I asked him about it, and he told me like what he actually really does. And I'm like, wow. And the entire time when he would be gone for about 2 weeks, a week, maybe 5 days, and he would drive all the way around the country in his like 90s Saturn that had the windshield cracked, go to these different companies. And when he would come back with money, he would always make sure to send money to his wife first, whatever he needed to do with the money, and whatever was left over, he would give me money to like get some food or whatever. But I was always getting the ass end of whatever he was making. And because of that, when he would be gone, I would be, when I tell you this relationship is so fucking crazy. But when he would be gone, I would be meal, hot dogs, mashed potatoes, salad. I would be eating that every fucking day. He didn't want to do the grocery store thing because he felt like, well, I'm never here. So not to have food go to like waste or anything like that. So I'll just give you money. So while you're here, you can like order food, go get you some food. Cause I have my own little cart too. It's like, go get you some food, go order some food, but I'm not doing groceries. At that time, I didn't like cooking, so I didn't want to cook anyway. So I'm like, let me try to mix something that's super simple and easy. So I kind of lived off hot dogs, mashed potatoes, salad. I'll get Wendy's from time to time. Like, it was a weird, weird fucking relationship. It was a weird time. Um, but it got to a point where me and him, we started to come to like an end of the connection. It just wasn't, I just couldn't do it. Like I knew my life couldn't be contained in this damn trailer. Like it just was not going to work. So I ended up leaving. I had me and my '01 Chevy Cavalier that was busted like fuck. And because at that time I was in Jones, Michigan, there was nothing around but like a Walmart, McDonald's, Wendy's, a library. So I'm like, okay, well, I got to figure out something. So I went up to Kalamazoo. There's a Deja Vu and Little Darlings. So I went up there to not Little Darlings, Deja Vu, audition and started working as a dancer. And I was sleeping out of my car. And when my car broke down, oh my God, my car finally like just broke down one day. And I'm like, fuck. So now I'm like trying to sleep at like Planet Fitnesses because they're 24-hour shower at Planet Fitnesses, trying to figure out a way to make shit work for myself while trying to build up money. And then that's when I ended up meeting the next person I ended up in a relationship with for about 4 years, where I did the cheating. So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it it's very interesting because as I listen to your story, it sounds like men have been very instrumental in your bigger lessons. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? So that's very interesting. Um, I'm
Mhm.
just sitting here so upset because it sounds like this man, he was someone he used to be, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Somehow he got into his ego. When he lost that, he then was thrusted into a hell loop, and then he becomes this lab rat, so he's got this hell loop going, he's a lab rat, and then they're testing on him, driving his ass crazy. So between the hell loop and the testing, now he's crazy. Now he didn't pulled you in on it. What in the world? He's got his wife in the sandwich bag, kissing it at night, talking about, "Baby, we'll be back together soon." Baby. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. He need his ass whooped. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because I was about to sit up here and narrate. I was about to go deep, girl. I was about to run the fuck out. But I'm telling you right now, whoever you are, sir, see, we ain't put you out there. But whoever you know who you are, you owe some reparations. You owe something. You owe this young lady something because this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Who does don't do that. Don't bring people into your insanity. Lord, thank God you was able to get out of there. Like, you know, some people that might have they might have became conditioned to that. You know, I'm just glad you was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
I had to. Ain't no way.
thank God. Man,
Mhm.
your story is deep. It's again, before we go further, I want to thank you again for being so transparent. I mean, this is blessing me as well. And but this is why, again, this is why you're so blessed and so, you know, your talent is so profound. Your gift, rather, your gift is so profound. You know that the divine is actually able to really use you as an instrument in such an excellent way. So, you know, it's part for the course. Um, wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
So, how do you I imagine well, before I get into how you practice, do you channel?
Yes. And I've channeled in quite a few of my videos.
Yes, I wanted you to say and make it clear. Um, and so when was the first moment you noticed you can channel? And I'm asking, not trying to be funny because I really think like this. So bear with me. I mean, I just feel like did somebody was like, "Psst, hey, I got a message. I need you, you know, like I need you to hey, pretty girl, I need you to deliver this message." How did that happen? Like, how was the first occurrence and how did you know what was going on?
Yeah. There was like a big marking point in my life because I would always like have that kind of like somebody's like nipping at my ear type of thing, but I thought that
Mhm.
was my intuition, right? So I just kind of like, all right, whatever, my intuition told me this or that. But the first real marker of like me channeling and kind of freaking the fuck out
Mhm.
was back in 2019 before I moved to Houston. And at the time I had my tarot cards and I was still using them, the cards that the guy from the strip club gave me, only cards I had at the time. And I wanted to know what was going to happen when I moved to Houston.
Mhm.
Oh my God. So I took out my cards, started doing a spread. I wanted to know what was going to happen, but more specifically, I wanted to know about my love life. Like, right, who am I going to meet next, et cetera, et cetera. So I did out a full spread and I heard DB. And it wasn't my tone, it wasn't my voice, it wasn't me saying it to myself. I was literally there in full clear consciousness. And I heard
Mm.
beat. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I kind of feel like, what the hell is that? And it just it doesn't have a specific tone, it doesn't have a specific voice. It's just like if I can describe this in the best way I can, it's kind of like if you can like how you can see things but turn it
Mhm.
into a sound. It's so weird to describe channeling because it's like I can see the words DB, but I'm like hearing DB, but it doesn't have a specific voice that I can pin it to. So it's just like I'm hearing that in my head and I'm
Okay.
going through my spread. And then I heard the number 2. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what this about. I'm like, okay, this is some bullshit. Maybe it's like the Ouija stuff, like, you know how with the boys you calling in channeling spirits. I'm like, all right, this is a little too freaky for me. So I did the entire spread, left the cards alone, went back about my day.
Mhm.
And I moved out here to Houston in 2020.
Mhm.
It was May of 2020. And it was a bad time because of the pandemic. Everything was going on. And 2 months to the date
Mm.
after moving here, which was July, I
Okay.
met a guy. His name was Daniel. Last name, it starts with a B. I can't pronounce it because it's like
Okay.
Italian. It was Daniel, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And we're talking, we go out on a date, we're talking, we're connecting, and I didn't really feel anything with him. I didn't really feel anything with him. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's just a date.
Okay.
That same date, a car crash happened on the corner. It was the weirdest freaky experience because I've never had that happen to me. Like, just you're out eating and that just, it's clear
Car.
line of sight. I see the car slow motion, like colliding. And I asked him, I was like, do you think that meant something? And then he was like, no, it's just a car accident. And in that moment, that's when I knew. It was the weirdest. I put 2 and 2 together when I said that.
It
It
was
was like,
another train wreck relationship could have came out of that?
mm,
Mhm.
yes, yes, and no, I guess um that I met. And it was the weirdest experience because I didn't think anything of it. And after the fact, I'm like, I met you in July, second week of July.
Mhm.
Your name is DB. I heard those initials months ago. And as I can look back now in hindsight, everything that I predicted in my spread that I
Mm.
did has happened. The ups, the downs, the disconnects, the we get into it together, and then, the third party situation and the whole journey of that road has
Oh,
been
DB
out.
was the nice guy.
Hmm?
DB is the nice guy?
DB, which is his name is Daniel. I can't pronounce his last name, but
Yeah.
Daniel is the one that I predicted in 2019.
Okay.
And that's when my first channeling experience happened.
Now, how long did y'all stay together?
It
Was
wasn't
it
really like a relation, it was like a situationship.
okay, okay,
Yeah, because it'd come together and then we would break apart, come together and break apart. But I've
okay,
always felt this pull towards him. And I actually
mm,
looked up our synastry information, our natal charts. And
okay,
there's 5 important placements that me and him both have that we share a past life with, we share of our present lifetime with, and different twin flame indicators within our synastry. And it's been such a strong connection, not only for me, but for him. But because of how intense it is, we kind of repulse each other. We like repel from each other. It's weird.
okay.
But that was my first real channeling experience, channeling him and actually meeting him on the timeline, the name, last name, first name, initials, and then even kind of having that confirmation with that car accident.
Wow, that's crazy. That's amazing. Okay. Okay. Um, Before I ask you what was your next one, I do want to ask, have you ever had anybody or any spirit materialize in front of you?
Not necessarily. Like, do you mean like as far as seeing a spirit
Yes.
physically? No, not physically seeing a spirit, but I feel them.
Okay.
I can feel the energy. I can feel their presence. And I
Oh,
think a couple times on some of my YouTube readings, you can actually hear, like I've had comments of people saying, "I hear voices in your background," or "I'm hearing sounds going off in your background," when you shouldn't. Like there's
mm.
actual people highlighting that. So yeah, I definitely feel spirits, but I can't physically like see them.
Okay. 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 Um, are you aware of any astral traveling?
I'm aware of it. I'm aware of the concept of it. I'm aware that people have astral travel. I will
Mhm.
say this, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm very much into the spiritual community and really ascending higher.
Mhm.
But on the flip side, I don't mean this in any rude way. I'm still black. So there's certain things.
You ain't trying to really. Okay.
There's certain things my blackness just won't allow me to touch into certain areas of, with doing like magic spells and potions and things like that.
Yeah.
Astral traveling is not really harmful to do. I'm just too afraid that if I astral travel trying to come back into the body, you know what I mean? I just certain things, it's like I'm safe in my area,
Right. I get
but
it.
all respected ones that do it.
I get it. Supposedly we do it in our sleep anyway when we don't know, but there are people that will literally do it. Like they'll be up and moving and they'll decide to astral travel for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And well, I ain't gonna get into that because somebody was like, it's conspiracy. I don't want to deal with that shit. So I'm gonna leave that where that's at. But so what was your second experience when it
My
comes?
sec- my second experience actually happened once I moved here. Um, it was around 2020 when I moved here. Because of the pandemic, it was very hard to get a job. I applied to almost like 200 companies trying to get a job, and I couldn't get anything. And the month of August, I was getting ready to face eviction because all my accounts were like in the negative. My debt was climbing. I literally had nothing. And
Mm,
I remember getting to a point where I was suicidal, right? Because I was already homeless and dealt with all that shit years ago. I finally worked myself up, finally got my credit good. I was in the 700s. I was feeling great, did all this stuff, bought a new car, literally bought a brand new Cadillac that same year, moved to Houston, took on all this stuff. And now I'm literally losing everything within months. And I'm just like, I couldn't deal. I wanted to end it. And I did attempt to. And just by the grace of spirit, by the universe, my friend Marlon called me. And he was just calling to see
mm,
what I was doing. He didn't know I was in the kitchen with a knife ready to just go. And
mm,
I'm on the phone crying when he answered, and he talked me out of it. He stayed on the phone with me for about 2 hours,
mm,
praying over me, talking to me, wishing me well, saying it's okay, this ain't gonna last for long. So we talked. When we got off the phone, I was just in my living room crying because it's like, I know this ain't gonna last for long, but I only got to next month. Like, what am I supposed to do?
yeah.
And then in that moment, again, that's when I heard some form of a channeling. I can't put a specific voice type to it, but it was just like, be patient, be still, be patient, be still.
Mhm,
And I'm just like ignoring it, just still emotionally worked up. Literally a couple of weeks later, it was like maybe I'm on the end ass of the month, getting to the end ass of the month.
mm,
Um, I got a email from a company called cPanel, which is a tech company. It's one of the biggest tech companies in software management. They emailed me and they say, "Hey, we would like to interview you for a position." The whole interview process took only a couple of days. And out of 300 applicants that they had, they chose me.
mm,
Mind you, more than likely, I was the least qualified for that position. But they hired me because when I was in Michigan and I, kind of got back on my feet, I started trying to work a regular job and I was working in a mobile tech company. So because I had experience in a specific software, they were like, you know what, we'll hire you. So I got hired, and it saved me in the nick of time. So I was able to go and
Mm.
work regularly. So yeah,
Look,
that was like the second one, the biggest second one for me.
so spirit will often come through in very important times, and which is good because then that will then cause you to listen and pay attention. Here you
Yeah.
are. You see,
Yes.
that's amazing. Um,
And that's kind of weird how that works too, because it's always like I don't get channeled from spirit if I'm just chilling or doing, cooking, whatever, anything like that, anything mundane. But it's when I need to know something,
mhm,
spirit comes through and let me know what the fuck I need to know.
that's what's
And
up.
that's how it is with some of my readings. Some readings I'll channel, and then there are some readings where I just don't, because there's nothing that's really that pressing that needs to be known. But I listen. I listen when he comes through for me. So
I
you know,
always often wonder how that worked because I know there are people that people go to see specifically because they can channel and they're looking to speak to a loved one. So, um, but that's not something you do. It's just if it comes, it comes. If it don't, it don't type of thing.
yeah, yeah, because I'm not a medium by any means, and like just to kind of give like a small background, my
Mhm.
great grandmother was highly intuitive. My grandmother on my mother's side, she's psychic. My mother has heightened intuition, and me, I have heightened intuition. I have also my grandmother's like psychic abilities, but
Mhm.
the thing is, I don't have that ability to be a medium. So trying to connect people from this side of the dead to this side, that's not something I can just tune into. But if
Mhm.
spirit is allowing me to connect with a spirit or a feeling that I have with somebody that has crossed over, then I can relay that message. But
Oh,
I always tell people, listen, I cannot guarantee you that I will channel, and I'll be straight up front with you. I can't guarantee you I channel. If something comes through from spirit from this person or that person, I will direct the message to you. If not, I'm just being full transparency. I'm not trying to undersell you or oversell you on something that I can't provide on my own will.
okay. And that's great. I'm again transparency. This
Mhm.
so you see from this is who you want to go to. You
Yeah.
want to book your readings with. Someone who's gonna be honest to you because there's a whole
Yes.
lot of people out here with some hocus pocus, honey, and they will take your money
Mhm.
gladly. Don't ever underestimate the power of finesse. Okay. Some people have mastered finesse and illusions and they will get you. So it's just beautiful, to hear that. It was something that I wanted to get into. So let's talk about, and maybe it'll pop up. We can go here. So,
Mhm.
what prompted you to start your YouTube channel?
So my heartbreak that I dealt with back in 2020, the twin flame, the guy that I channeled before even moving here, and we had that whole situationship on and off thing. And January of 2021, we connected again, and the situation for me that kind of did it for me with him was he wanted me to get on birth control if we was, gonna be sexually active. And I told him, listen, if I get on birth control, we got to be consistent, because he was always inconsistent with me.
Mhm.
I made myself weak to him, though. I got to take accountability for my measure. But I said only for consistent. So he said, okay. So I ended up going to the doctor getting birth control. Mind you, he's a resident doctor himself. So he just
Mm.
graduated, stuff like that. So I had him personally administer the birth control. And I told him before he did it, hey, listen, we got to be on the same wavelength here.
Mhm.
So he was in agreement. He administered it, and we got into it that night. And then 2 days later, he falls off the face of the earth. So he completely ghosts me again. Now I'm on this birth control that I never need to be on because of the side effects. And I'm just going through it emotionally, just like, oh my God, like, how did I because I literally put myself back in that position. That's where I fucked up. You know what I mean? And that, like my, family, my mother will always say a hard head makes a soft ass.
Mhm.
And I needed to hit my head real hard on that one last time to make a soft ass. And from that point, that's where it was just like, I can't just keep dealing with this. I just can't. And I started getting back into tarot and pulling cards and pulling cards. And that's when I had that like moment of, you know what, if my situation, I can't change the factors of what's going on right now, let me at least be a guiding light for other people, right? Like I just didn't want to at that point in time anymore keep feeling like I keep making mistakes, putting myself back in same situations and getting the same damn outcomes. I wanted to take the power back in my hand and be able to produce outcomes that actually produces results and that produces change, since I just kept hitting my head. And that's when that shift happened for me. And I do think it was already something that was already in progress for me, but that moment kind of woke me up. And that's when I got into my YouTube and was like, you know what, let me just start putting out content. Let me just start
Mm.
working with spirit, talking to spirit. And plus it brought me closer because I was hurting. My heart was broken. I was in pain. And I love doing it, and I still love doing it because it feels like I'm walking with spirit every day, having somebody by my side.
Mm.
So just to be able to do that, originally it was just kind of like, for shits and giggles, let me just throw this out there. I'm connecting. I get to bond with spirit. Like I'm liking it. And then it just took off.
That's beautiful. This is just a thought and a theory of mine. It's between me noticing some things, a thought and theory.
Mhm.
And it seems like those that really have gifts as your own, that are really like, you don't have to wonder,
Mhm.
she bullshitting. Like, it seems like their personal lives tend to struggle. And my theory on that is, most often than not, especially a woman as genuine as yourself, you strike me as the type of woman that will really be loyal to, especially after all you have learned now,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
your state now, who you are today, you strike me as a person that would be very loyal and very into and committed to your relationship. And
yeah,
you displayed that with dealing with the guy in the trailer. Despite, you know, that's a characteristic, even though it costs her in that moment because she was young, right? And so being young has a lot to do with a lot of things. But it's built her to be an amazing woman. See, it's some levels to this. So you're with that, you being genuine and would be so committed in a relationship and really offer yourself, you don't have room to do what you're doing. You could do it, but you couldn't do it at the same capacity. You probably wouldn't be as consistent. You probably wouldn't be as compassionate about it because your heart is full.
mhm,
You're happy, y'all fulfilling one another. And in such a time of the planet going through a transition, because we all are capable, we all are gifted, but only few of us know what's going on and are, activated or helping in some way to enlighten people and raise the consciousness. Everybody who's online is needed. You know what I'm saying? We need your full attention. This is an emergency. You know what I'm saying? So it would be hard to accomplish that if you were in a relationship. Now, I
yeah,
don't think that means that you will be single, by no means. I mean, because it's like anything, there's cycles to things, and things will die down, and then everybody can take a seat. Well, not take a seat for real, like hang it up, but you can be a little more relaxed. But right now, we're in a time that's serious, and at least you're at a good age.
mhm,
I mean, I don't see this being needed for 10 years in a row. Maybe it will be, I don't know, but you won't be dead in 10 years, So you'll still be up kicking, your face won't be drooping and sagging or nothing like that. You won't be tore out the frame. You're gonna be all right. And
yeah.
so, but we not claiming 10 years. I'm just saying, I'm just giving it and that's my thought on that, and I could be wrong. That's just my thought.
No, I think that's really an interesting perspective. And it's like, a lot of the people who are genuine healers, they tend
Mm.
to endure a lot of stuff, and one of the areas is their love life. That's where it tends to struggle. But like you said, in the love department, that's where we can really grow a lot because it hits us in the core.
Mhm.
And in my case, in my scenario, yeah, it has been love. consistently that keeps waking me up. It started with my first love, my father, that wasn't present and allowed me to try to seek love in other men that weren't fitting, you know.
Mhm.
So I hope, like you said, it ain't 10 years. I don't think it's gonna be, I honestly don't think it's gonna be 10 years, but
I don't either.
hopefully not. But you know, when the right one comes, and you know, if I'm gonna be honest with you,
Mhm. Please
because
do.
the whole Kevin Samuels thing, and there's a couple other people in the manosphere.
Mhm. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. This past 2021, at least going from like August up to like currently now, it's
Mhm.
really I really have been feeling why a lot of things haven't worked out. Even dates, like I haven't been on a single date.
Mm.
Oh my God, in so long. I've been celibate for a year, etc. And
Okay.
I feel like this has been my season that's really been preparing me for marriage. Because I've been getting into a lot of the man type of content, what they're looking for in a wife, what they want in a woman and a female, and things of that nature. My mother never showed me that because she hates men. So she never showed me that.
Whew.
You know, she can't stand them. So these past months has really, even on the outside of spirituality, has really been allowing me to step further into my feminine energy and really step further into removing survival mode, which has been my biggest struggle because I've
Mm.
always been in survival mode, and you know, preparing myself to be a wife someday. So even though love hasn't been working out, it kind of still works out in the end because at least I'll have the right mindset stepping forward when the right person comes to at least lessen my chances of fumbling that connection. You know, I don't want to bring anything into the connection that could cause any hindrances or blockages, you know?
Okay. And I definitely understand, and that leads me to this question.
Okay.
Do you think, considering who you are and how you move today,
Hmm.
is it your thought or belief that you should have someone who's kind of in tune with the spirituality, like they kind of know what's going on some level?
Yeah. Yes, yes, in large part,
Okay.
because you know, this is what I do for a living. So you have to understand and respect my craft. You have to understand and respect my audience. You have to understand and respect what I do, and what's very important to me. You know, they don't have to be super into the community, but I would at
Mhm.
least like my person to have a baseline of spirituality. So I wouldn't want somebody that's very, you know, religious or Christian and things like that, where they would try to impose their religion onto me. That ain't gonna work. It would
Mm-mm.
not work. But at least just be open minded and non judgmental. Even if you don't get it, even if you like, oh, you
Right.
playing for card thingies today, go ahead. Just be open minded. You
Yeah,
know.
that part, that part. Yeah, but I feel you on the religious Sunday. Some of these people would take a Bible and smother you with it at night,
Hmm.
okay, trying to get you to convert. So, well, what killed them? You know, the whole time the murder weapon was the Bible. You know what I'm saying? This kind of foolishness. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely I just wanted to ask you that because I think that's very important for people listening to know because not only are they getting to know you, but they're getting information, you know,
Yeah.
that they could use. Um, which brings me to another question. So, is this did you have to practice or strengthen your gift? What type of practices do you do or would you say it's more like a go with the flow, the upgrades and the updates or whatever, or the synchronicities is going to come on their own? You know, what do you say?
I would say it's actually both for me,
Okay.
because you have to keep the mind very strong because you're dealing with energies on a daily basis, you know, and you got to keep
Mm.
everything really sharp. So for me, what it comes down to is I like to go with the flow. I don't like to have certain structure when it comes to how I read because I just let the energies flow through. But I also do try to read a lot outside of tarot. So I like to read books on like spirituality, self development, self growth, empowerment, even things just about astrology because I'm getting more into astrology too. So I try to keep the mind strong. I try to keep the spirit strong. I do my meditation. I go outside. I meditate on my little yoga mat and try to keep everything centered. But as far as like doing like a practice spread or like regularly practicing, I read tarot every day, so it's kind of like you get your practice in when you actually are reading, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
um yeah, it's just one of those things that I don't like to have structure because I feel like it confines the energy that I'm trying to tap into. So I'm like, before I started reading, I'll sage, I'll light a candle, I got my little amethyst crystal, and that's it. I don't like to do much. I don't like to do much. I don't need all that stuff around my space. It's too much of a distraction. I don't like seeing all that, right? So just a little something at best. Um, and then what I'll do is I'll meditate over the cards before I start to pull. And then from there, I just go. I just flow, empty mind, clear mind, and I let what comes to me come to me.
I like that. I like that. And you talking about you don't like a lot of stuff, honey. I be the one with stuff just what is it? I mean, what are we, ma'am? What is this? Is it a monument? What the hell? That would be me. Maybe it's because I am a Leo. Maybe we're just a little over the top. But yeah, I mean, if you could see what's on my desk now, I got shit on here. Okay, and I like it. I like it. God damn it, I like it. So,
Okay.
so when it comes to meditating,
Mhm.
how do you do that? How do you explain it? I always ask everybody this because I just want the audience to be able to know someone as your with your expertise or with I won't say expertise because that makes it sound so not what it is. I will say your gift,
Yeah.
you know, with your gift, you're a credible source of how this goes or how it works. So, how do you do it?
My meditation is a little bit intense. I'm not going to deny. So, where I'm at right now, I have like a balcony outside of my place. So, I'll go out there and I'll meditate. And for me, no judgment. But what I like to do when I meditate, either I'll have my AirPods in or no music, and I'll just sit there in peace. And what tends to happen is my mental Rolodex will start moving. So at first, it's not a peaceful session. At first, what it is pulling up memories, experiences, pains, joys, miseries, regrets, sorrows, things that I could have done, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I pull them up to the surface and
Okay.
I relive them. But I relive them with intention. I relive them with the intention to forgive myself. I relive them with the intention to hug that inner child within me that didn't receive the love that she should have gotten as a child. I pull them up to the forefront to give my mother a hug for the love that she. See, now I'm getting emotional.
Girl, do you now? You know I love your stuff.
But I pull them up to the forefront to hug and forgive my mother for the love that she didn't get or the love my father didn't receive. I pull up the memories of exes and people and situations that I put myself in that either I knew better and didn't do better or they didn't have the capacity within themselves to treat me better. I pull all these things to the surface and I feel them, I relive them, and I forgive and I love myself. And
Wow.
then close them back up in the mental Rolodex, do it like that. And then in that moment after, I'm emotional. Either I'm already crying because I was about to start getting emotional now. Either I'm crying or I'm just feeling very somber. And
Mm.
what I do is I sit in that somber energy. And while I'm outside on my little balcony, I sit in that somber energy and I look what's around me. I live downtown Houston. I live on the 15th floor in high rise. I was homeless years ago. I'm beyond blessed, beyond measure. And at times I
Mm.
don't feel deserving of this blessing. And I
I
sit
gotta
there.
put the clap on for that. One second, I gotta give that a clap because you are definitely, definitely blessed. I don't want to be corny, but that deserves a round of applause. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll sit out there feeling somber and I'll look around and I'll say to myself internally, nothing's happening to you right now. You are safe. You can release the energy. And I release the energy and I look and I see how grateful I am. Because years ago, I wasn't here. Years ago, I didn't know
Mm.
where I was going to be. Almost last year, the year before, I didn't even want to be here anymore. And I just sit and just think, Spirit, the universe, my angels, my ancestors for bringing me such a long way. Because I could have been in the shadows, I could have been forgotten about. But they, see, sorry.
It's
But
okay,
they
baby.
came through for me. They came through for me time and time again, even when I didn't know the plan, even when I didn't know the direction they were taking me, it all led me to where I needed to be. And when I sit out there and I look at my surroundings, I can see I can see 5 miles. I can see the medical center. I can see parts of downtown. I can see the Galleria. I can see all that down here in my off my balcony. And I didn't have this before. And
Mm.
I just get so grateful. And that's what put me back in my empowerment energy, because you didn't come this far to come this far. And now you came this far. You got to keep going further, you know? So that's how my meditation, they kind of intense for me. They are kind of intense for me, but they're just a attitude of gratitude throughout my meditation, you know?
Mm. That, may I say that was the most amazing description, and it's very easy to digest and understand that I've heard thus far. Wow. That's amazing.
Mhm.
What's even more amazing is how you've been able to really remember the game Operation.
Mhm.
That's how you've been able to like get into who you are, your experiences. Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. You are doing the work. This is what I wanted to get into. That
Okay.
it finally came back, honey. Everything is in divine timing, I say. Um, I had told you that I was really into discussing or getting some people to actually explain or talk about their near death experience.
Yeah.
And I believe you told me you've had two.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So if you don't mind, can we start on the first one and how that came about? Are you comfortable with talking about that?
I am. It's just an embarrassing story. I'll tell you though. I'll tell you. I'm
Oh,
ready.
you want to go to the second one?
No, we can go to the first one.
Okay.
It's funny looking back, because it's like, really, Mariah, like, was it that deep? But it was. So my first near death experience was through almost by suicide. And that's one of the things I've always had to deal with throughout my life, is just, suicide. Um, but take it back to 2009, Michael Jackson died, and I was the biggest Michael Jackson
Mhm.
fan.
I'm here with you. Yes.
So when he passed, I don't know what snapped in my brain. I don't know what wires got crossed, but I became like super obsessed, depressed. Like, I went through this whole emotional thing. And my mother would relate it back to, you probably saw a father figure in Michael Jackson that your father didn't have for you, or something like that. And I didn't really see it as that being the case at that time. So I
No,
became
it's
super
intense.
obsessed, and I went into a depression. Like, I was spiraling. Like, I was going into a depression. Like, I was sleeping, eating, shitting, talking Michael Jackson. I started like carving his initials in my skin, like really badly, like carving his initials in my skin. I would even go to school at the time and do it in front of people, because it would get me attention, right?
Ooh.
So what ended up happening around November of 2009, this is so funny. I tried to attempt suicide. I tried to attempt
Mm.
suicide, and I went in my mother's medicine cabinet in her house. And she had a whole bunch of different pills in the cabinets, and I took a lot. Like, I just took a handful and just
Mm.
water, and I went in my closet and I cried, because I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna die. I just don't want to be here. If Michael, it's so weird. Looking back, I can laugh, but it's like, I didn't want to be here. Michael Jackson is not here. And I remember calling my friend Dominique, and I said, hey girl, listen, crying. I just took a whole bunch of pills. I just want to tell you I love you before I go. It's only a matter of time. This, and the third. And she ended up telling her father. They called the ambulance to my house. They came and got me. They put me on a stretcher. They took me to the hospital, and they did a full-on pump of my like system. And what they ended up doing after that is they threw me in a psychiatric ward. So I had to go be in like a psychiatric hospital for about 2 weeks for mental evaluation, depression, things of that nature, suicide watch, all that stuff. And when I got out, I had to go to therapy. So I was in therapy for a couple of years after. And I really wanted to go out. I really wanted to take myself out at that time. And again, it's funny looking back, because it's like over the most trivial person or thing, but I don't know what snapped. And even to this day, I still am trying to figure out the pieces as to how that connects me down the line to where I'm at today, or what has happened. I still don't know why I just snapped so left on that.
I would venture to say, um, you're very sensitive to energy.
Mhm.
And at that time, I'm sure you weren't as aware. You were aware, but not as aware. You clearly wasn't as aware as you are today.
Yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
maybe all of that energy and just emotions together just became a storm,
Yeah,
because you didn't know how to control, navigate, and that's probably what happens. I think a lot of people that are extremely gifted, you're to channel, you're a channel. Your
yeah,
channels are open, they are receiving, and you're not always controlling what you're receiving, especially if you're not aware that you can protect yourself or guard yourself, shield yourself. So you're just open for whatever energy is just flowing through. And
yeah,
at that moment, you probably became supercharged and overwhelmed. And I think, like I said, at some point, all people with these gifts have a point where they start snapping because of something. Yours was Michael Jackson. Somebody else, their car got repoed. I mean, somebody
mhm,
else lost their job. It's just we tend to judge things because of we come up with our mind the measurement of what's worthy enough of snapping. But
mhm.
regardless, you snapped.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? We
yeah,
get all into the intricacies, but I mean, hell, if you snapped over your grandma and I snapped over CVS closing on the corner because I can't get my prescription, I got to drive 3 goddamn miles down the street to get it. We both snapped. We gonna sit up
mhm,
and argue about what we snapped about? No, we're not gonna do that. So that's just my thoughts. That's just what's popping up in my head. I mean, I could be wrong.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first one. And then the second one, it had to do with the whole club situation. So I had a girl that I was cordial with. So when you work in the strip clubs, you don't ever want to be friends. You keep them at a distance, but girls get a little messy in the clubs. So it was this girl, she was a bit newer at the time in comparison to me. At that point, I already been in some time. And she was going to make a drug run at like a Motel 8. And I didn't want her to go alone. And at that point, me and her, we were very cordial. We would talk every time she comes in and stuff like that. So, and we would work together on the floor. So I got comfortable with her. And
Mhm.
she's newer in the club. So she was like, well, I'm gonna go do a drug run. I'm like, well, I don't want you to go alone. My thing about this is when it comes to drugs, I don't care if that's your prerogative, you do it. But because it runs on my mother's side and my dad's side, I'm too scared to like touch it because I know with my like personality, I can go in the
Mm.
deep end. So I said, okay, I'll go with you. Just make sure you're okay. So we go to Motel 8 and we go into the room and there's two guys in there and they're doing their thing. I'm waiting by the door and one of the dudes pull out a gun. So it was a drug run that went bad. So he was like trying to rob us. Thankfully, I didn't have anything on me but like my car keys. Like I didn't have like shit. All my stuff was like in my car. So he was trying to rob us. It was like a drug deal gone bad. And she's like, stop, like screaming and this and other third. And then, like the front desk area, they ended up coming down because we weren't too far from the entrance area, the room. So they come down, they're knocking on the door, trying to see what's going on. Cops get called. Like it was a mess. And for me, I count that as like a near death experience because you don't know if that person would have shot the gun. You don't know if this person would have been like, no, I'm about to tie you up or, take them clothes off or whatever and stuff like that. Like anything could have went left so quickly in that moment, you know.
That was definitely, yeah, that I would say that qualifies as one for sure. Wow. Wow. I'm sitting there listening like what could be going through the mind of you and the young lady that was going through this? Like, my God, that's scary. That's scary. I'm really glad you made it out of that. When
Yeah.
you the first time around, when you took all that medication, did you pass out or did they get to you before you passed out?
No, because one out of all of the other pills, one was I think it was like a Oxycontin. One of the bottles were Oxycontin, and the rest of them, and this is where it gets funny. The rest of them were fucking vitamins. So I took an Oxy with all these fucking.
I'm not trying to laugh. It's not funny. It's it's not fun. It's actually beautiful. It's actually like a safeguard, like the protection was there type of thing, but it's
Yeah,
just like, oh wow, vitamins,
yeah.
baby.
So only took it, like I said, that one oxy and them vitamins. And when I found out after they did like the, did the pumping and like gave me back results and stuff, they was like, she'll be fine. She just took a whole bunch of vitamins and oxy. Like, oh my
Mm.
God.
Help. Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, listen, to be honest though, and to be fair, Michael Jackson, it's a very different world between when he was here and when he wasn't. I'm not saying anything other than that.
Mm,
Anything else, I won't draw any conclusion, but it was a different world when Michael Jackson was here versus after he left the planet.
mm.
He definitely made a great um, contribution, and I would have to say that people like that, they don't come often.
Yeah.
He's that's a rare one. Like I believe that his role was just entertainment on this planet. I think it was a lot of things, but entertainment, and he had a heart and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
he got some raw deals here, boy. I'm telling you. But if we well, someone would get mad. Well, he's not Jesus Christ. But I was just gonna say, well, they crucified Jesus, but
Mhm.
that'll be taken the wrong way.
Okay.
People, how people get all offended. So just go ahead and fix your slip under your skirt, honey. We
Mhm.
gonna be all right. Wow,
Yeah.
that is deep. That is deep. So how many readings how many clients can you take in a week? Cause that's got to be
I mean, as far as the client, you know what? It just depends because the thing about me is I get to flex with my schedule. But
mhm,
I'll say as of the last couple of months, I've been pretty open. I have been pretty open. And
mm,
that's kind of also what I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the algorithm on YouTube because I had this incline and then I can see kind of like it's slowing down. And when I search for one of my videos, it's being recommended like at lower on the lower parts of the pages, the
mhm.
recommended pages. So I'm kind of like, what's going on? So I've been in the process of really trying to see what's going on with my algorithm and like really push how can I put this? Push more viewership to the channel because with it slowing down a little bit, I got more open space for clients. But that's a good thing, but not the best thing because of course you want to take on more clients as you can. So
Get you a website if you don't have one.
mhm.
Set you up a landing page and keep telling people to subscribe. I mean to subscribe, and that will cause them to leave their email address so that you can send your video to people. So you're going to post it and then you're going to send it to them too. If they've already seen it, they've already seen it. It's not no harm. If they, especially the type of content and the value you're offering, it's not going to be a like, oh, why is she emailing me? You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? So do that because you want to get control. And this is one of the things that I learned. See, I burned 6 years trying to figure this out, but you find it out when you need to.
yeah.
You wanna get people's email. Also, I don't know how you feel about this, but you don't have you ever thought about going to some of the fairs and stuff like that so you can get more people there and get their emails as well, and then they'll see your channel as well. Does that make sense?
I haven't thought about that. I never thought about that. That's a
Yep,
smart idea though.
yep. You go to I've got a card. I wish I had brought it downstairs. But I just made me some business cards, because, this is new for me. This what I'm doing now,
Yeah.
to a degree, is kind of so on the front of my business card, I have a real pretty with the logo and just a pretty background. It's like a forest background with a walkway, like to signify you going through a journey. Then on the back of it, I've got this barcode that connects to this app that holds all your links and it's very organized. I'll tell you what it is because I can't think of it off top, but I will definitely tell you. And if I can send it to you, I'll just send it to you. And I have on there, scan it. and click save. And then I've got two instructions on the back on how you could save it also. And then my website bar is on the bottom. That way they can save my information to their phone. Okay. But
Mhm.
most importantly, like I said, you want to grab people's emails. Because I think what's happening with you, if you were all just, if you wasn't somebody to worry about, you wouldn't have these problems.
Yeah.
Believe me, there is some resistance in the air to this, and then they let you play a little bit because they got to figure out who it is. But once they figure out what you come with, oh no, we're gonna
Yeah.
have to push this person down because they doing too much. So while you still, because it can really get crazy. So while you still are able to reach people, really try to get their emails, get all your clients' emails and all of that. Anybody you can, if you can think of it, get their email so you can send them your video. That's how you're gonna have to roll that.
Yeah, that's smart. And I use I think it's called Calendly, however
Okay.
it goes. So I use that for my entire booking process. So I think I implemented that back in August of last year. And then prior to that, they were just sending directly to PayPal. So I
Good.
still got my whole catalog of emails. So that's a really smart idea. That's the thing about YouTube, right? They don't really tell you the business aspect or side of it. It's like, oh, get on, create content, etc. But it really, you have to treat it like a business first,
Hmm.
content second. You know what I mean? And that's part of my learning journey throughout this, because yes, I'm spiritually in tune, but I still have to have structure here and be able to treat it as a business. And there are certain things that you just don't know until you kind of get into it.
Yep. And because I'm gonna give you a scenario. Um, this is what I learned, and I mean, you've got a lot of followers, but you'll be fine. You'll be fine because it's clear in what's going on here. It's a road mapped out. You're gonna be all right. But that information I gave you is gonna help you. One thing I learned, I had 16.2 thousand followers on Instagram, and I realized that my views was going down, and I was being shadow banned, and I kept getting blocked. And what I really learned from that is, what if I had a got all these people emails from the jump? Now I've got so many people, it's gonna be very difficult, especially everything I got, because mind you, I do this. I was putting out all these videos, going live all these times during the week. I was editing stuff, uploading. I was a one man band with just friends, with company, that would assist me as mouthpieces. And in some ways, ideas. But, I'm doing all the other stuff. So I can only be stressed so thin being a mother, a wife, and all of that, having two pets, you know. What if I don't have the capacity to grab and search through and get everybody's email. And even if I inbox everyone, only certain people is gonna get it, where it's because people don't really all the time look in the inbox, and then people just be funny about that. But if you get it started at the beginning, then you're winning, because the thing is, these platforms, they don't intend for you. You build an audience, you give them free money. You build an audience that they can advertise to. And if you don't get on top of that, this is YouTube and anybody, you don't get on top of that, it gets out of hand, and it's beneficial for a season and beneficial for them. But if you want longevity with the games that they play, you got to be on your shit, because they actually own your audience. That's really what it is. It's a free app that you give your most to because it's easily accessible. So you do a lot because it's free. You see what I'm saying? And it don't cost you nothing. And then they benefit from the shit. And then when they want to shut you down, then you had to start all the way over.
Yep.
And that's what I learned. That's something that I learned coming into this now. And that's why I'm telling you. And anything that pops up that can benefit you, I will tell you. But you are doing well. But just keep that in mind. There
Mhm.
is a force, just like there's light, there's dark. And just like there's the forces that wants us to be awakened to who we truly are, there are forces that want us to stay asleep.
Yep.
Especially ones that it's different levels to the forces, but on this earth you got forces that want you to stay asleep because it's monetarily beneficial. If you are awake, you're not worried about superficial stuff. You ain't worried about cars, you're not worried about clothes. You As long as you got something on your back, food in your belly, as long as you that's how, because the ego and all of that stuff begins to shed. You realize what's really important, and it's not that. So we got a bunch of wake people, ain't shit selling. Not
Yeah.
like it was. And now we gotta all go back to living in the shack, which at the end of the day, it's even crazy that you can't be. What's wrong? What type of person are you that you have an issue? You had to be better than people. You had to have
Yeah.
more. I got to be had the biggest house and the most cars. And what is that about? Why can't everybody live equally and just live well? Everybody should be able to have a granite countertop, an island in the middle of their kitchen, and a two-car garage. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it don't have to be over the top, but you deserve to live comfortably. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody don't have to have a mansion, but they should be comfortable. That should be
But
a basic necessity.
you know what though, and I totally agree. I can also see the flip side of that too, from like not having stuff at a point in time in my life. I think a lot of that is rooted in the fact of scarcity and lack and
Mhm.
fear that maybe you won't obtain it, or because you never had anything before, now you're in a space where you can start to achieve things. You go above and beyond measure because you never had. So you try to be almost like that Santa Claus to the child, but the Santa never
Mhm.
showed up when you were a child. So now you're doing it in your adult life. And I can
Mhm.
understand I don't agree. I can understand the perspective of coming from a space of lack. The
Mhm.
thing where I don't agree with it is when people become braggadocious, when that's all they're about. They don't have
Mhm.
a soul. They don't appreciate what it is that they have. They don't have gratitude. They just feel like it puts them in a higher societal or social or economic class when really you're not better than homeboy that's on the street down the corner and
Mhm.
homegirl that's living in that high rise or mansion over there. We all
Mhm.
are the same, but I hate when people use, and I hate to say hate, but I just really don't like it when people use their material gains or financial gains or things of that nature to distance themselves from reality or the common man or common people, because you're not better than anybody.
Yep. But therein lies that nasty ass ego.
Yeah.
But you still gotta have it, because that's a part. Even that plays its part in evolution. Everything plays its part.
Yeah.
You can't be too much of anything. Some of us, we would just sit on a cloud and float all fucking day if we could, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But what would be getting done? And the truth is, here's the real truth. Um, if everything was just on an even keel, humanity would not evolve. There's no reason to. There's nothing to strive for anything. We would just be comfortable. Hey, motherfucker, what you talking about? What you talking about? I'm hitting the blunt. You hitting the blunt. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like we have a couple barbecues, talk a little bit of shit, and we good. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Nobody's doing nothing and doing going anywhere. Shit, I'm happy. What you talking about? Don't you see this chair I'm sitting?
Hmm.
Baby, so we gotta have some resistance because we will be stagnant.
Yeah. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. I just think more so, I know it's wishful thinking, of course, but just
Mhm.
as far as the mindsets to kind of change a little bit more. Of course, you always going to have your differences, but more appreciation, more, gratitude, just a little bit more, just a dash.
Yeah, we need gratitude. Um, have you ever had any past life regressions done, or are there any encounters that you knew you had been here before, or do you not believe in reincarnation? How does that how was that for you?
As far as reincarnation, I do believe in it. I do believe people have came from a past life and came here. I believe in it within myself. I just don't know to the necessary degree of my past life. Of course, I can look at my natal chart and look at my south node and see how my life was in a past life. But even with looking at that, it doesn't really resonate with me.
Okay.
I've always had an old soul. I've always felt much older than I should have, than my actual age. I've always felt like I was too evolved or too mature or too developed in a certain sense or
Mhm.
certain aspects for my age. So in that context, do I think I lived here in a past life? Yes. But as far as the entire principles of it, I
Mhm.
do believe that there are some people that came from a past life. I don't know if everybody has had a past life though. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know if
Okay.
everybody was reincarnated. I think certain souls have been reincarnated. I think there's some new souls that are here.
Oh
This is
yeah.
their first time walking, you know. So
Mhm.
I'm very open ended with that idea of it.
I feel the same way. I mean, everybody, you do have new souls. I mean, because this so the way I understand it is Earth is a school, and
Mm,
so just like we go to school here to learn, even though I don't deal with the system of which
mm,
we learn by, but it's nonetheless it's a school. These souls at whatever level they are, and you there has to be a beginning, at least with humanity. Um, they've got to learn, and what better way to come here and learn? I mean, because hell, down here you gonna learn some things. You are going to learn. And if you don't, you gonna learn because you chose not to learn. You gonna learn one way or the other. So
yeah.
yeah, I totally agree. I do.
Yeah.
Um, so where do you see this taking you? Like do you have, and you don't have to get specific, because I'm gonna tell you something. You tell people your thoughts and then they
Mhm.
be trying to snatch them and stuff. So as best as you can do
Yeah.
without doing too much, what do you foresee in the future for yourself?
Oh man. I would probably say between now and the next 5 years, I would still love to be continuing to do what I'm doing. And the fact that there's already a roadmap of people who've been doing this on YouTube for 5 years lets me know that there's still longevity in it. I think we're kind of in a new age of this niche on YouTube. So I think there's a lot of room to grow and expand.
Mhm.
Also, too, though, I would like to do a lot of community assistance or work, whether it's helping the homeless, feeding the homeless, working at kitchens, um, and being able to, I don't know, maybe include my subscribers in some way. Like, I would like to, my thing is, I don't only want to just help the people that watch my videos, I want to be able to help people in general, you know,
Okay.
maybe including something with that. At some point, I do want to release my own tarot deck. I've kind of got some sketches going on of what I want.
Sweet. That's fucking sweet. Yeah.
So I want to do that. And then probably like as far as longer down the line, going closer to 5 years, I would love to have kind of like my own metaphysical shop, if you will, whether it's through like Etsy or online e-commerce or something like that. All handmade candles, prayed, meditated over, different things that can really help people in their spirituality, their movement of evolution. But because it's me. The stuff that I am gonna be, you know, as far as candles, they're gonna have like realistic names and titles that's like homegrown, like, you know,
Yeah.
get them demons out your house. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm
I
just thinking.
love it. I love it. I love it. That is outstanding.
Yeah.
Um, and I know we have been I want to ask you one more question before I
Yeah.
let you go. This has been an excellent interview, by the way.
Thank you.
Um, excellent. So everybody has their feelings about what's going on in the current state of affairs with the pandemic, with the juice they're trying to put in our arms. Um, some people are fearful, some people don't see it. They just going with the flow and let me go get the juice. It's a lot of mixed emotions and feelings going on, and then there's division being um is that's happening in response to all of this. How do you What are your feelings about intuitively, if you have any that you really honed in on or paid attention to? What are your feelings about what's going on, and what do you foresee?
Mm. I
Should
think
people
it's
be fearful?
abs- well, I don't. I would say yes, but not in a way to cause pandemonium. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Um, I think it's all a lot of propaganda. I think
Mhm,
it's all a tool. Um,
mhm.
I'm not gonna go so far left to say population control, even though I wouldn't put it past, you know, entities
Yeah.
that may be.
Yeah.
But I will say though, it just makes no sense, even looking at the timeline, looking at the new variants, then looking at the what is it called, the geez, I can't think of the name of it, the booster shots and things like
Mhm.
that, and even that's not working, and now you need. Listen, I would say this: if you are dealing with health conditions or health issues, make sure that you are safe and that you do take care of yourself. I always recommend the holistic route because
Mm,
whatever you got going on holistically can cure it for the most part, unless you got some ailment that is just far left.
mhm.
But I would say do as you can. Um, Find out information on it. But I would always recommend, like I said, going holistic, changing diet, changing lifestyle, exercising, implementing certain herbs and things of that nature to really, if you are that terrified of corona, your body is the biggest defense system that you got. It ain't gonna
Yeah.
that medicine, that booster stuff it ain't gonna have your back like your body will. So
Mhm.
I would just say that route.
Yep, yep, because, it was still a mechanism engineered by the divine, so we gotta trust in it. We're the problem. We're the ones who beat the body down, but it
Mm-hmm.
was designed to do what it was supposed to do. And so, yes, it does come down to taking care of yourself. In my, feelings about the whole thing, I can't help but to think there's definitely I'll be willing to bet on it, something sinister at play here. However, I do believe that we should not live in fear.
Yeah.
And we need to make decisions on what we're gonna do and trust in the decisions because ultimately I feel like whatever decision you make, it was written in your path, it was part of your course. That's what you chose. I mean, if it wasn't, it is now. So you better you better be
No,
happy with that shit, make a decision, and, but don't be fearful. Don't be
yeah.
fearful because I do believe, um, if you're gonna be protected. If you believe you're gonna be protected, you'll be protected, and worst come to worst, we don't want anyone to perish, but perishing, death is a part of life, okay?
Mhm.
It's the other part of the scale that holds balance, and you never die. You will always be here, so death is not something to fear as well, and that's just my feelings, and that's my take on that.
No, that's true. And then let me clarify that because you make absolute sense, absolute perfect sense. And I think because I know I said yes, you should be fearful, but I what I really more so mean is that be aware. Don't be so
Mhm.
calloused or so laid back or just so like it is what it is. That ain't my problem to deal with. I ain't catch it, so I ain't bothered. Don't be
Right,
so laid back to where you're not at least in the know of what's going on, right? So
right.
I think I used the incorrect word, but yeah.
No, I picked up on what you was putting down. Now somebody else might not have. They might have been like, "Well," they hesitating to pick it up, but I definitely picked up what you were putting down. But
Yeah.
it's always good to clarify.
Yeah.
So you never can go wrong with clarifying, but I knew exactly what you were saying
Yeah.
when you were saying it. I mean, I didn't have no questions. And I agree with you. Essentially, I'm trying to say the same thing. I'm just trying to make sure people understand that don't be fearful in the boogeyman because at the end of the day, man, everything is energy. And if
Yeah.
there is some energy out there looking for fear, you're feeding it. And if
Mm.
you starve it out, chances are it's gonna stop because what are we doing this for? Like we not getting the result we that it was intended. So we give life to a lot of things that really can be valid, but you gonna put it in cement. You sit up there and be scared. Like it might just be written on the chalkboard. And if you just resist, they could just wipe it off. But all your fear, now you didn't threw it down in the cement, we letting it dry, and we gonna have to try to bust up this concrete. No, we not doing that. We need to, be wise, use wisdom, but leave the fear in the closet, in a box somewhere in the corner,
Yeah.
please. You
Yeah.
know, yeah. So I think I have held you for so long now, and I really want to express my gratitude. This video, of course, when we get off of here, I'm gonna ask you before I completely let you go how you felt. But
Yeah.
but this interview was amazing. It was amazing. It was everything that it needed to be. Um,
Thank you.
I couldn't have predicted a better one. I mean, it was great. I really did, and it's funny because before you got on here, just being transparent, and this is something people can know. I mean, I didn't like no sage. I was going to, but sometimes I don't know. Somehow I didn't. At any
Mhm.
rate, I said my prayer and I asked for everything that needed to come through. I prayed this thing through. And it was gonna be awesome anyway because of who I'm interviewing, but I really believe that my prayers was delivered. The answer was delivered because this was amazing.
Oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Please tell people where they can find you if you want to give them your email, or however you want them to contact you. Please tell them that because they have to get in on this amazingness here.
Yes, so definitely check me out on YouTube. That is my main hub. You can find me Spiritually Honest Tarot, all spaces Spiritually Honest Tarot. You can email me as well if you have any questions, you want to talk, you want to book a reading. Definitely email me at spirituallyhonesttarot@gmail.com. I'm always available. I always got my phone on me, so I'm always able to reach back out to you immediately. So,
Thank you so very much for everything. I got to get you back. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but when I figure it out, we're going to talk about it because, it
okay.
couldn't be nothing short of amazing. So I want to thank you again. I truly do. And I'm going to let you go and follow up with you after this. But thank you so much. And
Thank
I
you.
thank y'all for watching. Please like, comment, and share. This is what I want you to do. Like it for me in the comments. Let us know any questions that you have, any thoughts that you have. We need your feedback. And we will do the best we can to answer whatever question that you have and interact with your thoughts. Leave them all there, thoughts, feelings, whatever, passing thoughts. Tell us where you're from, whatever you want to do. We're here to interact with you. Thank you so much for watching. Share this with somebody, it might help them. And until next time.